Originally, there was a large tract of land to the west of town that came on the market, and there was real concern that the new owners might not have sort of the open door, open access policy that the town had really come to rely on. If a gate went up on the edge of town, then that would sort of be the end of it for a lot of people who really rely on that free public access. So that was sort of the original event that led to creating a group of people from the community who sort of gathered at the picnic table at the Pine Tree store, the one store in town, and actually become community landowners of the land to conserve it in a way that it would continue to be available as both a source of recreation and an economic benefit to the region.
This is my sawmill. Yeah. Bandsaw mill. I saw all my material with. That's a 20-foot ash log off the community forest. We also, in this community, got together a number of years ago and to conserve land. Started the Downeast Lakes Land Trust, created a community forest which caters to the guides, to sportsmen, to craftsmen, to all the community needs. Some days I make a lot of sawdust, and some days I turn a paddle or a canoe out of it.
The town really sort of was created originally as a tannery town and a lumber town, and it transitioned into a primarily sporting camp-based town about 100 years ago, and that's been sort of the primary economic driver of the region ever since. Well, the Land Trust was really created to try and preserve that way of life that surrounds the guiding and the sporting camps and the natural scenic beauty of the area, as well as the timber products industry.
Our motto is forests and lakes for people forever, and the people part's very important to me. You know, when I first came around, I knew folks who'd be between 100 and 120 years old now. And they were men and women who lived up here well before the luxury of power tools. Most of them worked in the woods, and they represented to me something that is increasingly unusual in our world. People like Dale come as close to replicating it as I can think. I bet you can. Might need.
Oh!
I knew he was too big to hold.
As we crash into the rocks.
The idea of merely saving the resource without any regard for the people who depend upon it is not attractive to me. The idea of sustaining the resource so that people who, by choice or by birth, choose to remain here, that's really crucial. That's at the top of my list.
You know, one of the wonderful stories in land conservation in Maine is exemplified by the Downeast Lakes Land Trust. It grew out of the guiding community and the sporting camp community in Grand Lake Stream. And they have now created, from the base of a very small community with remarkable creativity, a set of conserved lands now that number in the tens of thousands of acres and that are directly tied to the economy of that town and the quality of that landscape. It's a remarkable story, And they have, one of the elements of that that particularly impressed me was the creation of a community forest, where they are picking up the heritage of the wood forest products industry that has been in that area for well over 200 years and sustained it in a way which is completely complementary with the guiding industry and the sporting camps operations that are so important to that community's history.
The town of Grand Lake Stream and the communities around it has the highest concentration of working Maine guides in the state. Virtually everyone you meet walking up and down the street has a guide's license. There's a 100-year plus tradition of guiding on the lakes and guiding in the woods around this area.
You know, we're competing in a world market now, trying to get people here fishing, and it's not easy. And, you know, people can go anywhere in the world at the click of a button now, and we have to keep this place in the forefront of people's minds as a special place. And it is, it's very unique, and the fishery is second to none. I mean, it's spectacular, and I've fished all over the world.
Oh my, big pickerel.
I've seen it, and I know what it costs to go other places, and I think what we have is something very unique and very special and very high quality.
We're able to manage the forest for fish and wildlife resources that are extremely important to the outdoor recreation-based tourism industry.
This is a grouse woodcock management unit that we installed in 2012. The idea here is to create a early successional habitat that's going to refresh habitat continually over the long term. The Land Trust undergoes what we call focus species forestry. That's an idea put out by the Audubon, and that basically uses sustainable forestry practices to achieve a wildlife goal, in particular to a specific species.
So here we have one of our new grouse woodcock patch cuts. It's the first set of patch cuts that we're doing on our new acquisition, which is the West Grand parcel. It's an additional 22,000 acres that we've added in the last year to the Downeast Lakes Community Forest.
We manage the forest for a steady stream of sustainably harvested timber products. And that not only provides jobs within the forest, but also jobs in the community at large. We send wood to local mills, which helps to support some of the largest employers in our region.
Here we have one of our log piles. This is hardwood pulp. This is going to be going to Woodland Pulp Mill, which is about 30 miles from here. It's one of our local mills. We pride ourselves on trying to supply local mills as much as possible. We've consulted with Rough Grouse Society to get more information as to the proper way to maintain these patch cuts.
Every action we do is really for the community in one way or another. Sustainable forestry obviously gives a significant amount of revenue and pumps it right into the local economy. The hunting and fishing community here depends on our lands to sustain their businesses. Without open public access, they can't conduct their own business. And certainly if the wildlife weren't there, then they wouldn't even have a reason to try. So we're providing the access and the wildlife and economic stimulus for the region.
We also are able to manage the community forest for recreational access. So the development of trails, campsites, hiking areas, things of that nature that are useful for the community and that also help to make this an attractive area for people to come to visit.
Boy, it's coming out of there fast now.
I love this one. Woody Wheaton was born and raised in Grand Lake Stream.
We are able to offer our free public education programs within the community forest, and that provides kind of a setting where we can offer those programs for free for the benefit of everyone.
A huge component of the conservation group itself is reaching out to the community, not only just in Grand Lake Stream, but in the Downeast Lakes region, and furthering our mission with education programs.
The idea here today is just to give you guys a taste of some of the trapping that is still going on in this area. If you wanted to get into trapping, then you would have to take a trapper certification course through the state. Okay? I'll pass a few around and see if you guys can guess at some of these. These have all been tanned, so they're not gross or anything.
This looks like a bear.
Kind of like a bear.
Tiny bear.
Beaver.
You think beaver?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that is a beaver.
Yeah, because I can see it.
Yeah,
you can see on the
you
face,
can see the
yeah.
face on there, and the tail would be on the far end, but because the tail doesn't have fur on it, that doesn't get
They cut it
saved.
off.
Right. In the wintertime, Colin needs to keep his head warm.
Whether it's in schools or here in town and in the Farm Cove Community Forest, we provide education programs for not only just kids but adults as well with our History and Heritage program.
So this is the Women and Children song. So this is an honor song for women and children. Are you ready? Here we go. We are yo, 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 we are hey yo. We are hey yo, hey, oh we are hey.
And we have a summer program that runs about 6 or 7 weeks called Serious Skills for Boys and Girls for older ages and Explorations and Adventures for younger ages. Serious Skills was developed as an intro to guiding course. The Grand Lake Stream has such a rich history of registered Maine guides that they wanted to get kids interested in some of the different guide skills.
And this is really designed for our older age group of roughly 10 to 16. And these kids are interested in more hands-on activities that are a little more dangerous, a little more exciting and adventurous. And one of the traditional recreation activities in our area is trapping. There are a bunch of different types of live traps. We do have a number of trappers in the area who pursue this both as recreation and economic opportunity on the community forest. And being knowledgeable about their activities and familiar with that is part of the life of the community.
So some of the programs we ran this summer were how to cook a shore lunch. There's been canoeing, fly tying. The purpose of education programs are really to help further state our mission to the greater community of taking care of the forest and the lakes for what they're valued for and helping the local economy here in town.
Oh, look at that.
You got 3. Oh no.
It held for a minute.
All right.
Well, we have a number of hiking trails within the community forest, and traditionally these have been constructed by local community volunteers and also by trail crews that we brought in from outside. This year we have a crew from the Maine Conservation Corps that's working on new trails in the community forest. They bring knowledge of trail building that we wouldn't otherwise have, so they really enhance our ability to create these recreational infrastructures.
It's been really, really great. We've been able to do almost a little bit over a mile of trail, and it's primitive, and I'm really happy that people are going to be able to enjoy it.
In addition to providing trails for public access for local schools and communities, we've also developed a map and compass course that we're in the process of building right now. You can see by these trail tags. And it allows schools to come with students and learn real-life skills on navigation in the woods. One educational piece that we've provided for local residents in the Downeast Lakes Community Forest is the Downeast Lakes Geocache Challenge. It was provided with grant funding from the Maine Guides Education Fund, and it is actually 25 geocaches hidden in different educational spots throughout the community forest. But at each point in the geocache itself is a little educational piece that tells people about a unique thing about the area. So we'll go ahead and hide this one back where we had found it. For those who complete all 25 geocaches, they get a special prize back at the DLLT office. 56,000 acres gives great public access for kids to learn outside of the classroom.
The Land Trust provides free firewood permits to the local community. The idea there is to provide heating assistance to the region and just a community benefit. The community has showed us so much support over the years. We felt necessary to provide them a little support where we can.
We have over 80 miles of snowmobile and ATV trails in the community forest, and these connect to hundreds of miles of trails in the region that are maintained by the local snowmobile and ATV clubs. And these are volunteer-driven clubs based locally that we work with as a landowner to maintain and construct trails on the community forest. And having that opportunity in the community forest is really critical economically. Particularly in the wintertime with snowmobiling, it's an opportunity to bring people in from outside the community who contribute to the life of the store and the life of the town. It's also a great access point for other forms of recreation like hunting and trapping in the area.
By keeping the land open to the ATV club, it's extremely important. We maintain about 82 miles of trail in and around Grand Lake Stream. So it gives everyone an opportunity to get outside and ride their machines.
Tree tipping is an important seasonal source of income for a lot of people in the area. We have a couple of different wreath making companies that are based nearby. In November and early December, people will go out into the woods and collect tips from balsam fir trees. And with a permit, people can come and collect those tips around the holidays for personal use or for sale to wreath making companies.
It's a very seasonal area. This extends the season. Going into winter, it's a way for someone to make some money, get through the winter. That's what you want to do. There's plenty to do here in the summer. In the spring, fishing starts back up. Other than hunting in November, December, this is what you got, wreath making. And that's what the area is good for.
I build canoes. I often tell people I'm cursed by them. I spend all summer sitting in one guiding fishermen, and then all winter building and rebuilding them for people.
We have a craft wood permit policy where local craftsmen like TOBEY can come and get a permit that allows them to harvest individual trees of species that are necessary for traditional crafts like canoe building or furniture making.
This is one of mine that I'm refinishing for a customer. A lot of canoes I use mahogany for the thwarts and the seat down through. I pretty much use mahogany on all the sterns. It's solid, stable, lasts well. I make the seats themselves, the frames, I make their ash. The tradition of doing it. For 100 years, canoe builders in Grand Lake Stream have cut all their wood right here.
It makes me proud to be a part of it and to be able to call this home. It's a community that recognizes its reliance upon and responsibility towards the natural resources that surround it. We're paddling on Big Musquash Stream. As we paddle along here, everything on my left is part of the 22,000 acres that the Land Trust is seeking to purchase and manage as a community forest. And everything on the right is owned by the Passamaquoddy tribe. And so paddling up this stream, it's remarkable to think that really this view will never change. It'll never change ownership, and it'll never be developed or turn into houses or camps. And so pretty much this will be a natural, wild, undeveloped view in perpetuity.